Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 118 of the Wise Guy Sports Show here on the Wise Guys YouTube channel. I am one of your hosts. I am the Big Rican on Sports, Mike Martinez, and without further ado, I will bring in my co-host with the most, Mr. JC Blue Note, James Credidian. Jim, hello, sir. We're back to normal schedule.
For now.
I mean, the word normal in the two of us really doesn't jive ever.
I mean, maybe for you, we all know that I'm the only sane one on this show.
I'm telling Steph.
What's she gonna do?
Probably tell you you're right. Speaking of, first point of order tonight, sir, is to wish my beautiful wife a happy birthday. It was just past Wednesday, the 6th of August. It is one of my favorite days of the year. I actually took the day off.
Yeah, I actually was saying, I told her happy birthday. Why isn't he waiting on you hand and foot? And she's like, oh, he is.
Every year, it's actually most days I'm home when I'm not working, but that's a story for an entirely different time. But no, seriously, it was funny because lunchtime, she had said, I really want my gluten-free mac and cheese. I jumped out of the chair and went to Publix.
Next time you go to Publix, my new addiction anymore, my boss turned me onto this. Get yourself like some fresh vegetables and just kind of cut them up like you're going to put them in a Tupperware container, and get this stuff in the spice aisle. It's called Kinder's, and they call it the mix. It's salt, pepper, and garlic salt all in one, and then you just sprinkle it on there, and it's basically like salad. It's like seasoned in like it's in a salad, except it's not dripping in oil everywhere. It's addicting.
So here's something she got for her birthday. So Saturday, we went to my in-laws this weekend in Palm Coast, Florida. I knew this ahead of time, but Stephanie was given a gift card to Texas Roadhouse that was attached to, you and your husband are going by yourself. We're going to leave the kid with us, which was a very nice evening. It was very odd because it's the first time we've done that since we've been in the state of Georgia. But one of her other gifts, because of course everything is gluten-free in my house, were gluten-free breadcrumbs made out of ground pork rinds.
You had me until pork rinds.
Bro, could you imagine a pork chop breaded in pork rinds? Just the flavor.
You had me until pork rinds. I was
Seriously,
I've never been a fan of. They're the two chips. I will do my Stefan Johnson, and I will say that those are ass end of the chip spectrum. Those
Okay.
and Funyuns.
Oh yeah, gross. I will say this: there is an Italian style one, so like you do for meatballs and meatloaf and stuff. Um, I did taste the Italian one. You can't even tell they're pork rinds. It actually tastes like breadcrumbs. But my whole thing is this: being a flavor guy, you start frying these things up, and it's going to be that much more flavor on it because of what it's made of. That's just me.
I hear pork rinds, and the only thing that plays through my head is Beavis and Butthead with sour cream and salsa pork rinds, and that's
The only thing that plays through my head is the original Ninja Turtles movie when they're sitting at the table and they're got all the snacks in their mouth, and one of them goes, "Pork rind, pork rind." So, James, we do have a lot to get to in tonight's hat trick. So, what do you say we get this puppy moving and we start covering all this, huh?
It's the three biggest topics in the world of sports from the last week. Get ready for the Wise Guys hat trick.
First up in tonight's hat trick, it's here. It's here. NFL preseason week 1 has come and basically gone. I don't think does anybody play tomorrow?
I don't think anyone's playing tomorrow. I want to say the last of the preseason games are ongoing right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So I want to start in the middle with that field goal in Jacksonville.
They're done. Yeah, so they're off. I don't think they really do a whole lot of Monday nighters during um the preseason. They're typically like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, there is one next week, so um I want to say it was eclipsed with the fact that we had the Hall of Fame game last week.
Yes. Yes. But I want to start with the field goal, James. What an unadulterated bomb.
The
It would have been good from 72.
Yeah, I mean the hilarity is that if you watched um the Jacksonville, like it so much, since we all know that the games are shown in local markets on their local affiliates. Like here in
Yeah.
Cleveland, it was Chris Rose and Joe Thomas on AB on the ABC affiliate. Jacksonville had their local affiliate. I want to say it was their Fox affiliate that carries the local games,
I
and they
think
actually were saying now after the kid hits the field goal they might have to start rethinking some things with the power that this kid has got.
yeah, I mean, this is to steal a phrase from Mr. McAfee. That was an absolute piss missile that this kid kicked. Um, I was floored. It was funny because we're down in Palm Coast this morning, and the not only did the local Florida news do it, it was one of Willie Geist's headline stories on Sunday Today nationally. That's how much
The
of a bomb that was.
the gentleman who hit it was Cam Little, who was a sixth round pick by the Jaguars last year. He went 4 for 4 in this game, and all four were 40 plus.
That's impressive. His new head coach Liam Cohen basically said, "You think you can?" He went, "Yup." He goes, "Go out and do it," and he drilled it.
And remember, even though Jacksonville was hot garbage last year, Cam Little played in all 17 games. He was 27 of 29, and his only misses, he missed one between 40 and 49, one between a one over 50 plus, and had a long of 59 last year.
Yeah, he's got a cannon strapped to that right leg of his.
And he was perfect on extra points, 27 of 27. He was one of the lone bright spots for an abysmal Jaguar team that ended up with the 5th overall pick, flipped to Cleveland, and ended up getting Travis Hunter.
Yeah. And by the way, he didn't look half bad last night.
Two catches on the opening drive. I don't think he dropped one, but it's but he played both sides of the ball. It's
He did.
they were going to have him, naturally a lot of these guys they're going to run them out there, but they're going to put them on a very very light pitch count. We'll talk about that when we looked at some of the when we look at Shadur Sanders here in a few minutes.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, the one defensive play he was a part of, because they didn't throw the ball to his side of the field, by the way. The one defensive play he was a part of, he actually came all the way across the formation and made a tackle after, I think it was a running back from, they were playing not Green Bay, they were playing Pittsburgh. But the running back for Pittsburgh, I think it was a screen pass. And Hunter came all the way across after the running back broke a tackle and put the dude on his ass. So he's not afraid to hit. Pittsburgh did not throw the ball to that side that I could see from the stat picture I was looking at. So, Travis Hunter looked okay in his first preseason game. Obviously, the big story coming out of that game is the field goal at 70 yards. Moving over one to CeeDee Lamb's dumbass. Seriously, bro? You've been playing football how long? You know you can't stand on that white fucking line?
And you've been in the league 9 years?
Has it been 9 years for him already?
I want to say it's up there.
He's, if that's the case, no, because that would have been the Joey Bosa, Ezekiel Elliott draft. He's younger than that. I want to say he's like 4.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'm pulling it up.
We found a sub shop that does full gluten free, James.
6 years.
So 2019.
Yep.
The pandemic. Other highlights.
I got and not for nothing. He got a good laugh out of it. He's going to get a nice little fine for, even if it's in preseason here from the league, and also for putting an official in harm's way. That official trucked the shit out of him.
Yeah, he's a pansy. I will say that. No, and it was a great hit by the official. But CeeDee's going to have to pay some money out and deal with that. Former Ohio State running back Travion Henderson takes the opening kick in the New England preseason game, 100 yards. That looked a hell of a lot like the screen pass catch in the national semifinal last year against Texas. James, I saw that video with a caption, Browns drafted the wrong Ohio State running back.
There's people thinking that, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, but they've already got a home run type hitter, in their backfield. They need a guy who can basically slam into the line and get you 3 yards. And if he even plays this year, that's what they're hoping Quinshon Judkins is going to be.
No, that's just the first time I saw it was with that caption on it. And honestly, that's typical Browns Twitter. A couple other things. We had the scary moment in Atlanta.
Yes.
Where a defensive back from the Lions, was it Maurice Norris? Was his name?
Yes, it was.
Maurice Norris went to, and by the way, the form tackle was proper. Head up. He went for the midsection and he caught a knee in the head. Ambulance on the field, both teams praying. They stopped the game at that point, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I want to say it was like just a couple of plays into the fourth quarter, and they ended up canceling the game with the Lions up 17-10. But he was up and around. He's got full use of all of his extremities.
Thank God.
There's a possibility he could end up playing the third preseason game. It's not going to be like what happened with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, where he got carted off and then he had full use of his extremities, and they're wondering if he'll ever play again at this point. But they're saying that this was more precautionary than anything, from what I'm hearing coming out of the aftermath of it.
And by the way, obviously our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. Hopefully he is able to play again. But that was scary as hell. I saw the play and I turned away. I couldn't even watch it anymore.
It's one of those plays where you see it in real time and you don't go back and watch it. It's very, and I'm not trying to draw the parallel because of one of the teams that I cheer for. It's a Damar Hamlin type play. You watch it live and you do not watch it again.
You never watch it again. Tell you what, Justin Fields didn't look half bad in his game against Green Bay with the Jets.
He did not.
He made a couple of really good. I watched his first drive. He made a couple of really smart throws. Whereas when he was in Chicago and even in Pittsburgh, he was trying to push the ball downfield too much to try and make plays. He basically did what the defense gave him, and the Jets, I don't know what the final score was, but the Jets scored a touchdown on the first drive with him. He did end up running it in from 13 yards away, which seems to be his thing.
The Jets ended up winning that game 30-10. Uh, Actually, after Fields left, Martinez comes in and goes 11 of 16 for 152 and a touchdown. So they've got a surefire backup. It looks like if something happens with Fields.
No relation that I know of. That's Taylor Martinez that was at Nebraska, right?
That's Adrian Martinez, the
Brother.
second year player out of K-State.
Oh, different Martinez. I thought it was
Yep.
one of the ones that were at Nebraska. But
Go ahead.
I would say let's round up the rest of week one, and then I really want to dive into Mr. Sanders and the reason I'm wearing this shirt tonight.
Okay. Aiden O'Connell throws for 205 yards and a touchdown. As with the Raiders, as Geno Smith sits, that ends in a 23-23 tie against the Seahawks. We actually saw Geno actually flip off some fans, so he's going to end up he's going to get a nice little fine from the league. Daniel Jones with the Colts throws 10 of 21 for 144 yards in relief after Anthony Richardson gets absolutely blown up and jams one of the fingers on his throwing hand. So just an inauspicious start coming back from injury there. We'll talk about another parallel with that here in a moment. Who is Jackson Dart, 12 of 19 for 154 yards and a touchdown in his debut as the Giants top the Bills 34-25. Stetson Bennett, hopefully the heir apparent to Matthew Stafford, 16 of 24 for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Rams truck the Cowboys 31-21. Sam Howell for the Vikings, 11 of 13, 105 yards in his preseason debut. Kyle Trask, 12 of 16 for 129 yards for the Buccaneers. Cam Ward, a little shaky out of the gate in his first drive, but actually guides the Titans for a touchdown before exiting. It was the Titans' lone score of the game. And Jarrett Stidham looking very good as the backup to Bo Nix in Denver, goes 14 of 15 for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Broncos run all over the 49ers 30-9. And again, we know that none of these games count, but it's trying to see what you have, available there. Not a whole lot in terms of the rookies. They're getting a whole lot of run, so to speak, because they were on very, very limited pitch counts here.
Yeah, and the couple things that shocked me about the rookies on the short pitch counts, not for nothing, but your franchise quarterback should have more than 2 series, especially if they're a rookie. So for Cam Ward, I think he should have been in there for an extra series. This is his first actual action in an NFL game. And say what you want about who's playing and what have you. Here's the bottom line. Every player who started each game is going to make an NFL roster. They are going to be officially players in the National Football League. So say what you want about he did it against the scout team. If you started this game, these are some first teamers and some second teamers that are going to be playing meaningful time in NFL games this year.
To an extent, there are some teams. I know the Rams have got a history of this, that they don't play any of their starters in at least the first 2 preseason games. Back when it was 4, I don't even think they run any of their starters out there. One more that I actually forgot. Hopefully, heir apparent in New Orleans, Tyler Shuck, 15 of 22 for 165 and a touchdown, and looked very, very promising there. But Shuck playing that long, you have to know that that there's going to be a very short leash before he takes over the reins. So you're going to see a lot of your quarterbacks that were drafted high kind of get in there. Will they play it all this weekend? remains to be seen. We're not talking quarterback battles. Shuck may actually play a couple of series. Cam Ward's going to probably play a couple of series, maybe a quarter, because we know he's going to be the starter. So they're going to actually just kind of get him game reps that aren't practice. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean that's what I'm saying. There's a good chunk of these players who are on the field that are going to be, say, second team with these teams, because in the NFL everybody gets hurt. You're, even as a backup, you're getting a lot of time for a lot of teams. So let's ease off they did it against, a bunch of friggin' plumbers and what have you. It's the shit they say in the NBA all the time.
Well, I can't remember if he played with Ohio State. Tyvis Powell.
Yes, Tyvis Powell
Okay.
was on with that championship team 10 years ago.
He's a kind of a weekend analyst with 92.3. So he's kind of like a pro that would call in. They do Ross Tucker, who used to play with the Browns. He's part of CBS Sports, or I should say Infinity Sports Radio Network, as an analyst. He worked some sideline NFL games. But he actually said that with a lot of the guys that you're going to see this week and next, they're actually they're actually fighting for not so much jobs, because a lot of them are going to have jobs in the league. It's just basically depth chart and getting game reps. The middle of the second game and the third game, you're actually seeing guys really auditioning to where if they don't make it, somebody else is going to end up picking them up, whether it's here, Canada, or overseas at that particular point, or the arena league, the fan controlled league. So these guys are actually auditioning for jobs somewhere involved, even if we're talking UFL at that point, but they're not going to actually wait, the entire summer for that. But it's good to actually see some of these starters kind of go out and actually, and even though we think that they're going to light up, second and third team players, or some of these highly touted rookies going out there against second and third team players. Let's actually wait until this week to where, the competition may not be as well. So let's actually see what they can do when they're actually kind of playing down to their competition.
It's very true. That's a problem with a lot of these kids coming out of college, is they play down to their competition. And then trying to ramp it back up if you're going to be a starter is not the easiest thing on the planet. Which brings me to our final one, and that is the first one there, and that is Shedeur Sanders and how well he played in his debut with the Browns the other night, which brings us to the first of the Big Rican numbers of the week. And that first number is 106.8. It's a pretty good quarterback rating for a guy who was, people were saying was absolutely god-awful trash coming into the draft. So I was impressed with what Shedeur did. I was very happy with what he did. I will tell you that some people are making a big thing out of that's the first ever walk into anything football wise that he hasn't had his father with him, which again, people are going to make shit about his dad because his dad is Deion Sanders. But I will say this is what impressed me the most, as my wife is trying to get into Amazon and it has to send me a text. Hang on a second. Here's what impressed me the most. He looked decisive, James. He looked like he knew where he wanted to go with the ball, even when he was running for his life a couple of times, which, by the way, I think we can both agree may be something that happens no matter who is the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns this year, that offensive line is going to be a little bit of a problem. I was impressed with his ability to get away. I was impressed with the fact that even though people have called him a runner first, he was looking to throw the football. He was not looking to be a Justin Fields or even a Lamar Jackson. He was looking to be a quarterback and to throw the football. So the things that impressed me were, one, his accuracy. And yeah, he had a bad first drive, just like Cam Ward.
Yeah, I was going to say, he definitely looked to be a little lamped up when he actually evaded and rolled to his left. And then he had one of the tight ends wide open in the flat, and there was nobody within 10 yards of him, and he just airmailed it over his head.
And that was definitely the adrenaline and the nerves of the night. But I will say this, he definitely toned it down, and he played very well, leading 2 touchdown drives, not turning the ball over, which is huge. You don't want to do that. But as I told my cousin, who had asked me if I thought they had something, I said, let's see how he develops. But here's the problem. In 25 years, this franchise has not developed a quarterback. So it really begins to beg the question, is he going to get time to develop? Number one. And number two, is this going to be the front office and head coach that he will be able to develop with?
I personally think that look at the regime that's here between Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. They had Baker, and really, Baker flourished in his first year with Stefanski, goes to the playoffs and everything that we know about. Then the decision comes from up above to go get Deshaun Watson. We see the shit show that's turned into. And I love the visual of Gabriel Watson and Flacco on the sideline, and Flacco's the only one smiling because he's guaranteed a job.
I was just going to say
hurt,
that.
but and Watson talking about possibly coming back. There's going to be no way that they're going to let him anywhere near the field. So this way this time next year, he's completely off the roster because they can cut him after June 1 and be able to take the insurance money this year and be able to buy out that contract. The fact that they've got 6 quarterbacks on the roster under contract right now, or at least signed, between Pickett, Flacco, Gabriel, Watson, Tyler Huntley, and there was one more that they've got signed to the practice squad at this particular point.
They need it though,
right? But you only had Huntley and Sanders dressed for last week because Pickett was coming back off an injury. He hadn't been activated in time for that game on Friday night. Flacco's certainly not going to play. Pickett should play at least a couple of series this coming weekend. You got to figure that Dylan Gabriel's going to get the bulk of the reps. Shedeur may actually come in to kind of close things up at that point because at that particular aspect, he's just getting game reps, and he's also basically able to kind of flourish a little bit because he knows his likelihood of getting hurt is going to drop dramatically in the fourth quarter when he's playing against third and fourth string guys just looking to cling on to a roster spot. So you got to figure, if you're the Browns, Gabriel's going to get the bulk of the reps this coming weekend. But with Sanders, 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, did take 2 sacks, which actually I kind of like about that because it also, he's got it. The problem is that, yes, he was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in all of college football, really over the last 2 seasons here. But I think for the 2 touchdown drives and how nervous he looked, I think the telltale play of Sanders was the 20-yard loss when he was trying to evade and ran almost back to the 50-yard line. That's the problem he's got, is that he's got to actually learn sometimes just go down and eat the sack and rather avoid getting hurt and then give up a ton of field position. So I would imagine if he got into a game later this year and he's doing shit like that, he's going to get yanked and say, hey, what are you doing here? Even if we're losing, you're costing us valuable field position. We got to actually be able to get reps here. We can't line up for 3rd and 45 all the time.
No, absolutely. And I think he will learn that. You're talking about a guy who was relied on to get, in all honesty, one of the better wide receiver rooms in the country, the ball behind an offensive line that was not good at all. So I think he kind of went back to his instincts. Let me expand the play. Let me do this. But unfortunately, it's not Travis Hunter and Joe Horn you're throwing the ball to right now. It's guys who are trying to make an NFL roster who aren't playing against college players who are, never going to even sniff anything above college football. I think he'll learn that. I believe so. I think if he does learn that, look, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to mean it very much so. If you're telling me right now, out of the 4 quarterbacks that are in this competition, because Deshaun's done, fuck him, he's gone. Send him his walking papers, attach cement to his busted Achilles, and toss him in the lake. I really don't give a shit.
I mean, not until next summer, though, of course.
Yeah, sit him for the whole year and then do it next summer. Out of those 4, my gut feeling is that if any of those 4 are going to be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns week 1, 2026, he's it.
I have to think it's Kenny Pickett because of the fact that they traded a 4th round draft pick for him. And now here's the only concern is that if you're high on Gabriel or Sanders, and let's say that Gabriel goes out and blows everybody's doors off this weekend, you're going to have to stick one of those guys on a practice squad where somebody can, come in and gobble them up. I don't see that there's a way, unless somebody wants to trade for him, that Kenny Pickett's not going to be the week 1 starter if he's healthy, because you don't trade a 4th round pick to get the guy in and then immediately turn around and cut him.
I don't think they cut him. I believe that Kenny Pickett will be the backup. The number 3 will be Shedeur Sanders, the what's its name? The
Emergency.
Practice squad guy will be Dylan Gabriel.
You think they're going to make Gabriel expendable?
I have never been high on Dylan Gabriel at all. Never. And the reason I've never been high on Dylan Gabriel is not that he's left-handed, not that he's short. It's that it seems to me in the bigger moments, he is so hit or miss in school that you have to question if he knows how to get it done. If you look at his career, when he was at Oklahoma, he lost the Red River to a Texas team that was not nearly as good as that Oklahoma team. He then transfers he transferred twice, didn't he?
Yep.
Once from UCF and once from Oklahoma. He goes to Oregon. Yeah, he won the early in the season battle in
Washington.
In Eugene against Ohio State. You get to the playoff and he looked lost. So he's so hit or miss. I'm getting Tua vibes from him. And not to sound, like that kind of asshole, but I've been pretty right about Tua in the NFL. Plays great against teams that aren't nearly as good as what he's got. And when he plays good teams, he can't do shit. The thing about Shedeur is a type of quarterback who can fit Stefanski's system. He's mobile enough to get out of the pocket and extend plays. He's not run first, and he's got a good enough arm to make a throw downfield when he needs to make a throw downfield. Baker thrived in that system. Case Keenum thrived in that system. And, Joe Flacco, who was 106 coming off the couch, also thrived in that system. It seems the guys who rely on their legs more often than not, or have never really been had the big light on them or played well with the big light on them, haven't done much of anything with Stefanski's system. And not for nothing, they don't have their security blanket in Nick Chubb anymore, where you don't know if you can turn the ball off to somebody 25 times and kill the clock. So it's going to be on whoever's under centers on their arm for this year. And I personally think Flacco was brought in for a reason. Joe Flacco is going to be the starter week 1. And because also Kenny Pickett, yes, he cost them a 4th round pick. Who's going to cost them less money week 1, 2026?
Completely agree.
It's Gabriel or Kenny Pickett.
I mean, if you get marginal play out of Gabriel or Sanders, do you run the risk of taking a quarterback in the top 10 next year, with either of those picks, especially if Jacksonville craps the bed with the fact that you got their pick next year as well? Do you actually, it's a very, very slippery slope here, is that do you possibly try to develop one of these two kids if you see something there that you like, or do you actually let the lesser of the two potentially walk and go out and grab one, knowing that you could probably fill a definite starter need with that pick, even though it's a much better quarterback class next year than this past year was?
This year's quarterback class took a hit. Did you hear what happened over the weekend?
It's college
Archie Manning.
football. Why would I care?
Archie Manning on the radio. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Arch will play his senior year at Texas. That throws the entire quarterback class into a fit. The entire thing. Because now your best quarterback coming out, I don't believe he's anybody's going to think of. Because the top rated quarterbacks right now in college football are all underclassmen. It's no, and a couple of them aren't even draft eligible yet, but we'll get to that later. One thing to think about, though, as we wrap up this one, these are the first two quarterbacks that Andrew Berry has drafted. Every other quarterback has been either a free agent, a trade, or inherited. Jim, give me a percentage. In the realm of possibility, the Browns go into week 1, 2026 with either Gabriel or Sanders as a starter and the other one as the backup.
0.3. It's
Really?
not happening.
Okay.
There's no way that that's going to happen. It's because, there's no way, as brutal as their first 6 weeks are, you're not going to run two rookies out there and wind up getting either one of those kids killed.
No. 26. Not this year, next year.
You may get one of them on the roster, but I don't possibly Sanders as the starter, but
I have it at 35%.
You got to figure one of them's going to end up being in one of those roles, whoever it might be. It's, because you've got to figure Flacco's on borrowed time. If you get any semblance of him this year, because you're only looking at a 5 or 6 win Browns team, more than likely. If you get anything above 5, you've committed history at this point. It's the whole it's the whole Days of Thunder thing. It's if you get a race car driver to a hospital before he's actually dead, you've committed a miracle. Same thing here. If you get this Browns team as bad as it is, let's be honest, that everyone is thinking that they are going to have the number 1 pick by far, and you get them to 5 wins or better to where they're picking in the back half of the top 10, who's to say? But I don't see both of those guys being on the roster next year. I don't see Kenny Pickett being in the long-term future, and I got to think that Joe Flacco, this might be his last hurrah.
No, I think it is his last hurrah.
And I don't mean his last contract. I mean this could be his last season.
Yes, I agree. I will say this. If any of the 4 quarterbacks that are in the room right now that actually have a legit shot at playing, as I'm discounting Tyler Huntley and Billy, I think it's more feasible that if Kenny Pickett plays good this year and he's on a 1-year deal, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski have a real come to Jesus moment, because Kenny Pickett's going to be asking for some money. You've got 2 dudes on rookie deals. That if you see enough in practice and they play enough on a 5-win team, either of them, you theoretically could go into 2026 with the winner of that competition as a starter, and because they've been in the system for 2 years, the other one their backup. So you don't lose anything. God forbid there's an injury or lack of good play. It's another dude who knows the system because he's been in it a couple of years. So I think it's more in the realm of possibility than I would have said any other year with the Browns.
Well, yeah, I'm actually glad that you brought up the Kenny Pickett thing, because he's on a 2-year deal. Well, actually, I should say he's on the back end of his rookie deal. From the Steelers, so he's only making 2.6 this year. it actually says that next year he'd be under contract, but it's a club option where that increases up to 22.1 million. But I think that that's been voided because of these the parameters that's around it. So it's a fifth
Okay.
year option, but it's a club option. So it's not completely on the table. So right now, they're only you figure there's no way unless he goes and plays out of his mind and gets the Browns to 7 or 8 wins, he's not going to be looking for. There's no way that he's going to get any more than maybe 8 or 9 million, maybe 10.
Yeah, yeah, but here's the thing: if they pick up his 5th year option, he's getting 22.
Which is still definitely feasible because of the fact that you're going to be able to buy out Watson, even though that's going to hit against the cap. But you're still going to be able to move pieces, parts around here, and you're not going to be handcuffed after next summer.
What's the year 2 contract for a 5th rounder?
Let me look up Shadur's contract.
Because I bet you it looks a lot better in 22.2.
It's 951,000 this year, 1.1 next year, 1.2 next in 27, 1.34 in 28. So the entire contract is 4 years, 4.6 mil. And then who's to say if he actually comes out and has a Jaden Daniels? I'm not saying he's going to be Jaden Daniels, but let's say he
Agreed.
actually has a shock and awe type season like that. Maybe not this year, but next year, and they restructure him, to be able to give him, that and he does end up turning into a franchise quarterback, you still don't even have to worry about that for a couple of years because by then Watson's contract is completely off your books, and
I agree.
you've got 65 million to play around with.
Exactly. So as I'm saying, instead of picking up Kenny Pickett's 5th-year option, no matter what he does this year, for $22 million, why are you not sticking with the 2 guys who are at under 2 million and putting some actual players in the holes in this roster?
It's definitely something that we'll be able to talk about as the season unfolds with injuries and
Agreed.
everything else.
Agreed. But we spent 42 minutes on the NFL, and it's 2 weeks before the preview, so I think we need to move on.
These next two, they're going to be definitely content heavy, but we're definitely not going to be able to talk about them nearly as much.
No, not at all. ESPN has finally admitted to the name I have given them for several years. ESECPNFL, as ESPN is buying the NFL network and the league gains 10% share of ESPN. I cannot even fucking believe it, but I can. ESPN has basically been the personal nut juggler of the NFL since they made their deal with the devil and took over Monday Night Football. They are now also which means they own Red Zone, and now they also are talking about a college football Red Zone, which means you'll be able to watch all the SEC games and nothing else. They also are acquiring WWE's PLEs, starting with WrestleMania in 2026.
We'll talk about that on the back end.
Yeah, but let's talk about what they're doing with the NFL Network. Obviously, this brings Rich Eisen back under the ESPN umbrella, so good for Rich, who was a staple.
Which is why I found it a little bit strange, and you hinted at it last week where he wasn't on Roku anymore, that he shows now actually jumping over to ESPN here in the next couple of weeks. So,
Yep.
Very, very cool for Rich. Plus, also, you figure with all of the midday podcast guys, I know, there's Jim Rome, there's McAfee, there's Eisen. Eisen still got the best one of them all. There's Dan Patrick, but Rich Eisen's got the most entertaining one of them all.
Yes, he does. And a lot of that is his location, because he has the celebrities on the Celebrity True or False, which is an amazing segment. So Rich is more of an entertainment show than just a sports show. I believe this will also pave the way for Rich Eisen being the main face of the NFL at ESPN, as he has been the main face of the NFL on NFL Network since its inception.
Yeah, but
several
who's to say
almost
now
a
that they're
decade
both
ago.
going to be under the umbrella? He doesn't keep that role.
Which I missed the first part of that.
Who's to say that now that NFL Network's under the ESPN umbrella, once the deal finalizes? Now, here's the thing: the deal doesn't finalize until they're talking the end of 2026. So, as it stands right now, we're status quo this year and probably next year. So, we're not looking until probably the start of the 2027 season for anything to change around. His talk show can come back, to ESPN, but as it stands right now, he's probably still going to be with Mooch and all the other guys, Kurt Warner and all them on Sunday morning countdown with NFL Network. I still think it's going to be your Rex Ryan and Booger and all those guys on Sunday morning countdown. You're going to have Boomer doing the wrap up at nights and on Mondays and everything. So I don't think anything's really going to change. But yeah, I do think you could be onto something that who's to say that Rich doesn't end up taking over, like the Chris Berman type spot. But Rich isn't any spring chicken himself. Rich is definitely I can't remember, but I think Rich is in his late 50s.
Yeah, he's in
56.
his late 50s. He's 56.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thought. If NFL Network is being absorbed by ESPN, does that mean we finally get rid of fucking Booger McFarland? Because who do you think they're going to want on their pregame shows? 2 Hall of Famers with gold jackets and Marshall Faulk and Kurt Warner, or Booger McFarland?
I agree with that. It's definitely going to open up some doors, but who's to say that nothing even changes and it's just basically ESPN buying the tape library at this point and all the footage in the network?
Well, and I get. I would love to see Mariucci and Rex, because those are two, Mariucci, the offensive genius. Rex, for everything he is or he isn't, is a phenomenal defensive football coach. Those two together would be great.
I take your point and I present counterpoint. Herm Edwards and Rex Ryan.
Ooh. Even better. You know what the worst part about that is? They both coach the Jets. And by the way, they are my two favorite Jet coaches of all time. Just because one of them didn't kiss Belichick's ring and the other one actually said the words, "You played to win the game."
Because look at the other, Al Groh, Rich Kotite. It's, there wasn't a whole lot in the cupboard. The Jets have not been very good for a lot of years, of our lifetime. And at least they made even if they weren't good, they were certainly watchable.
Well, you figure you have Herm gives you the last division title the Jets have ever won, which is one of only 2 that Tom Brady did not win when he was the quarterback of the New England Patriots. You have Rex, who handed – how many times did Brady lose at home in the playoffs?
You can count it on one hand.
And one of them is to Rex Ryan and the New York Jets. No Jet coach has been to multiple conference championship games since the guy in the 60s who was the Colts head coach that they got rid of for Don Shula. You had some decent coaches in there. Never anybody with the success of Rex Ryan and Herm Edwards. They obviously wisened up and got the hell out.
I would say realistically, the only other one that had at least more than 2 seasons worth of success was Eric Mangini.
Mangini was okay. Walt Michaels in the 80s was really good. He had the sack exchange with Salam and Klecko and Marty Lyons and Mark Gastineau. He was really good, but he's also
who was the other coach in the late 80s or early 90s that I can picture him?
Bruce Coslett.
That was it.
Can you tell I grew up a Jet fan, Jim?
Because that was the golden age of coaches. Between like Shula and Marv Levy and Marty Schottenheimer and Sam Weish and Chuck Knoll and
Think about
we're
this.
really just talking about the AFC. We haven't, Dan Reeves, we have, you got Parcells, you know, you had Ditka. It's just wow.
Bill Walsh.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So don't forget, Pete Carroll was the head coach of the Jets at one point in time. That
Yeah.
was his first job. So there have been plenty of good coaches that have gone through a horrible franchise, but I think the biggest kick in the nuts about the Jets is look what Todd Bowles has done in Tampa. So there's that. Let's get into the WWE thing, because that I think is going to be more of an easier pill to swallow than the other one, because fuck ESPN.
Not necessarily here. What's happening is that for ESPN having the WWE network streamed through Peacock for the last, God, can't even remember how long it's been, because it's been, you got to figure, pretty close to a decade almost.
Well, basically Peacock's entire run, they've had WWE.
Right. But now that is actually going over to ESPN for their PLEs. They don't call them pay-per-views anymore. They call them premium live events, and that's going to start with WrestleMania in April 2026. And this is coinciding with the fact that ESPN's OTR new streaming service that is going to encapsulate ESPN Plus, but you're also going to have all 8 of the ESPN networks for $30 a month. And if you subscribe to that, you're going to get all these pay-per-views for free. There's no telling right now, because it still doesn't happen until next year, whether or not what that's going to do to affect the current ESPN Plus subscribers like myself. Are we going to be able to get that in? Are we going to be able to kind of, upgrade, kind of like how Peacock, if you would do like the $5.99, you would get those. If you went to like the $9.99, then you got those encapsulated. So there's still a lot of things working out here. But they're lining it up to where WrestleMania next year is going to be the first one of these. So definitely for WWE fans, they're going to end up shelling out more money either way, whether they're doing kind of a discount on the pay-per-view package or they're having to get the ESPN service for $30 a month and end up paying an extra, $20 a month over their Peacock premium subscription.
Yeah, and the other thing to think about too is, since ESPN is under Disney's umbrella, Disney's eliminating Hulu and bringing it under the Disney Plus conglomerate portion of it in 2026. That $30 a month is probably going to include Disney Plus, if I had to bet. And at that point in time, somebody like me who streams everything is kind of going, oh. I personally won't get it because, again, the only thing I would watch on ESPN is no longer there. I'd watch the Cavs, when they were on national.
Right.
But outside of that, I have no reason to watch ESPN ever again. When we get into next week in the college football preview, just kind of throwing that out there. The main reason I watched ESPN on Saturday mornings is done after the end of this month. And they have no rights until the playoff for any teams I would watch playing college football. So I have no use for them personally. But I do think the WWE thing is interesting, because I think it means we're going to see more of Joe Tessitore, which I love, because Tessitore's really good on the mic.
Yes.
Commentating for WWE. So hopefully it works out for WWE. Don't really care about the NFL Network thing. Whereas, this is not anything anybody thought wouldn't happen.
I could give a shit about WWE because we've got 3 more months of John Cena. Could care less about Pepsi Phil. One of my other favorites, Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Their contracts elapsed over the weekend. Ron Jones is going to be there very much longer. So it's like,
did you watch the video I said? How hilarious was that? The fucking mime thing with the hands. The fucking mime thing with the hands, and then Cena turning it on Truth, saying he was the problem. That was amazing.
That was really good. But you know me, AEW guy through and through.
Yep.
TNA getting a lot better, and there's
Yes.
somebody WWE talk real quick that you know who Karrion Kross is.
Yes.
Former Killer Cross. There's talk that he had a very kind of ostentatious split with TNA a few years ago before he signed on with WWE, and there's talk that he may go back. Somebody threw this out there, and I think it would be absolutely brilliant that how WWE's got this partnership right now with TNA. What
Yeah.
if Cross goes and signs with TNA and WWE NXT currently have the TNA Women's and Men's Championships. So the TNA World Championship is currently held by a WWE NXT talent. The TNA
When did
Women's
I, w-
Knockout
I won't
Championship is
I
held by
won't
a
say
WWE wrestler.
I won't say his name. When did he lose the belt?
A couple of months, about a month or two ago.
You know what? We did talk about it. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
My fault.
So somebody put out there, what if Cross were to sign with TNA and basically start sabotaging WWE from the inside, being with TNA, saying, I know about this place. I'm going to be the guy who starts getting our titles back.
That'd be a great angle.
That would be whoever. There's also talk that it could be a gigantic work. That they could do the same thing with, like what they did with Ron Killings, is that his contract expired. They waited 3 or 4 days. They re-sign him, and now they've got nothing for him right now because of the fact that they pulled the string and turned Cena face after 5 months because it just wasn't working with him as a heel. So Killings is back to being a goofball. Killer Cross is still one of the best wrestlers out there right now, and just with the way that he's gotten himself over, do the fans pressure them into signing him back? But it's like they can't do anything with him. At least if he goes to TNA, he definitely gets shot way up the card, and it actually makes the whole angle interesting with the NXT crossover.
Yeah. And by the way, the pop Cena got after the face turn was insane. Like I watched it a couple. I like watching the pop videos just because they're pretty cool. Nearly as big as the one he got pre-retirement tour when he interrupted Roman Reigns, and I think that was in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's
a couple years ago.
I will say that as loud as that thing was for Cena, there were two that were louder. One was good, one was not. We talked about the first one last week with Lesnar. I think that Seth Rollins throwing off the crutches and the knee brace was one of the loudest ovations I've ever heard.
By the way, his wife cutting the promo the next night was absolutely fucking gold.
And they really went there with the fact that he was standing backstage.
Or that she told Nikki Bella you couldn't see your good-looking husband anymore. I was done.
And then I brought it up with you, and now I got to go back and watch Happy Gilmore 2 for that segment because apparently she was on Blaze's caddy, which was Rebecca Quinn.
You shouldn't talk to your caddy that way. I mean, if he ends up being a pro if she ends up being a pro later, I mean, Zalatoris got choked the fuck out, and he did pretty good for himself.
Speaking of attractive women who get a bad rap.
Oh. Did not know where you were going with that. This is some bullshit. So there have been at least 5 instances of toys being tossed onto the court at WNBA games.
Four of them made it to the floor. Remember, one of them actually didn't and ended up getting hit with a fan who's now pressed charges.
Good for them.
Yeah, because it not only hit him, but it also hit his 9-year-old daughter.
I'm throwing hands. Somebody's getting a piss beat out of him right there.
That actually, it came from like an upper, like a higher elevation seat. It wasn't like it was right, 20 rows behind the guy.
I'd still try and find him. But yeah, they're tossing toys on the court at WNBA games. Sophie Cunningham, of course, said, "Please don't throw one. Somebody's going to get hit," and then she got hit. Look, I'm going to say this, and I think you agree with me. Can we stop being as males? Because you know this dude's doing this. Everything we try and tell people we fucking aren't. Honestly, WNBA's been around since you and I were teenagers, James. We're old as shit now. These ladies work just as hard, play just as hard, and do not nearly make as much money as the prima donna fucks that you guys think are the best things on the planet. Do not disrespect. And that's exactly what it is. It is disrespect. These ladies who
go ahead.
These ladies who bust their ass for peanuts. Stop. And if it is a cryptocurrency group that's doing it and it's supposed to be a big joke, sue the shit out of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna summarize most of the ESPN story that came out, but we actually saw, in recent days where Kelsey Plum hits a free throw on the back end of a 1-on-1. One lands right in the middle of the lane. She kicks it straight off the floor, stops play for a minute or so. Another one gets thrown onto the floor. Sophie Cunningham actually walks over to the opposing bench, and they're all having a great laugh out of it. So the ESPN story came down on the 7th, which was Wednesday. So it was by writer Katie Barnes. A self-described cryptocurrency enthusiast told ESPN he is part of a group that orchestrated recent sex toy stunts that have disrupted at least 3 WNBA games in the past 10 days. The man, who spoke on the condition of anonymity over video conference Wednesday, said the stunts were meant to market a crypto coin that his online community started. The WA and all of its controversy, he said, made the league a logical target. Quote, "It was more or less like an opportunistic approach to, what is already trending, where there is already controversy, and how do we intercept some of the attention?" End quote. The man, who uses Lieutenant Daldo Rain as his username on X, a nod, he said, to the Brad Pitt character in the movie Inglourious Bastards, kept his camera off and refused to give his name or age during the call with ESPN. The group, he said, wants to reclaim the creative and community aspects of the crypto world. Quote, "We want to make funny memes again," end quote. On Thursday, a WNBA spokesperson declined to answer ESPN's questions about the group that claimed responsibility or adjustments to arena security. USA Today first reported on the group's claim. The man told ESPN that the coin trading started July 28th, the day before the first sex toy was thrown at a WNBA game. The coin's transaction record on Dex Screener, a website that tracks the real-time prices of cryptocurrencies, confirms the timeline. Posts from the group's Telegram community, which include over 1,000 users, were reviewed by ESPN. They reveal inside and prior knowledge of the first incident at the Atlanta Dream game against the Golden State Valkyries on July 29th. A link to the stream of the game was shared in the chat ahead of tip-off, and the community members celebrated their upcoming stunt and posted numerous derogatory comments about the WNBA. Quote, "We will soon buy the league," end quote. A poster wrote under the timestamp of 7:13 p.m., then timestamped at 7:30 p.m. A Daldo shared a green sex toy meme with the caption, quote, "Dildo warrior practicing his throw," end quote. Hours later, the game was postponed in the fourth quarter after a green sex toy was thrown onto the court. And then it kind of summarizes everything. It talks about the Sophie thing. An 18-year-old was arrested at the Phoenix Arena during a Mercury Sun game that we talked about last week, where this happened. He removed that individual removed the toy from his sweatshirt pocket and hit 2 spectators, including a minor. He attempted to leave a building. The volunteer arena worker witnessed the incident, followed him, and tackled him. Um, my question is, how are these people getting these things into the building?
Yeah, this is Jesus Christ, dude. I can't fucking even. I can't. I've been a fan, and again, I've been a fan of the WNBA since its inception. Can't even fucking talk. Um, I was a proud fan of the Cleveland Rockers. I was in awe of the fact that Houston put together a roster that won 4 consecutive championships off the rip. Lisa Leslie is one of my favorite players I've ever watched. By that time, Diana Taurasi graduated from UConn and took her dominance to that floor. We have now seen an influx of younger, and not to sound like this to the older generation of WNBA players, better talented females that they really paved the way for in Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Plum, in Caitlin. They're taking the game to a new level. The sheer fact
Aaliyah Boston, yeah,
Aaliyah
Brianna
Boston,
Stewart. It's
Paige Beckers, who's been an absolute bucket the last week and a half.
Yeah, not even and what Alyssa Thomas did earlier this week.
I saw that. Jim, it angers me. Number one, you want to do something funny with crypto? Cool. Do you? Cool. But why does it have to be that? Why you want to make funny memes again? Cool. Go make funny memes again. Don't try and disrespect people because you think it's hysterical. You're 3/4 of what's wrong with the fucking world. It just bugs the shit out of me, dude. It just bugs the shit out of me.
Now people are starting to think, where else is shit like this going to happen? The security we all know is much tighter at baseball, football, type stadiums. You're never going to see something like that in an NHL just because there's nets all around the ice. You're never going to get it there.
These guys are too big of pansies.
Netting is going to bounce back, hit a fan, and then you're going to have a lawsuit on your hands.
Yeah, these guys are too big of pansies to try this at a main four sporting event.
And let's also actually say that I'm going to bring up the two elephants in the room because as a journalist, as an internet journalist, I have to. The first being is that I think it's a lot easier for these guys to be able to pull shit like this at a WNBA arena where the fans are almost kind of on top, which is why you have not seen this at an NWSL game because they don't have the arms to get them to the field. And secondly, it's kind of an opportune time for them because as much as the WNBA has grown, but especially this season with the fact that you have arguably two of your biggest up-and-coming talents who are going to be the face of your league has missed significant time with injury, and that's been Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark. What has been the primary focus of the WNBA? Not even so much the on-court stuff, but everything that you've really been seeing off the court for about the last 3 weeks. It's been Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull together with their fashion sense.
Yeah. And not for nothing, mainstream sports media comments on the NBA fashion sense, or you see people asking baseball players, well, who's the best dressed in the locker in the clubhouse? NFL, obviously, NFL is different because it's one dude who they're talking about because of who he's dating. But because they're females, people are not taking them seriously as the world-class athletes that they are, as opposed to the men who they're like, oh, he's into fashion, but this is what he does first. When there's probably more dudes on NBA rosters who are more worried about what kind of suit they're going to wear than they are playing the actual fucking game, as opposed to the WNBA.
Because look at the walk-in videos that really that's actually what everyone does anymore. It's like, on Threads, on Instagram and everything. It's like, people are watching highlights, but they're watching more of what Sophie's outfit looked like when she's walking in. what does Lexi look like and how many of her abs are actually showing in that? That's really been the primary, discussion point that you see a lot of right now, which is sad because this is a very entertaining season and you don't have one team running away with everything. The Lynx stomped the Liberty today by 18 in a finals
Really
rematch. It's
nice.
the Lynx are 27-5, and yet, the most marketable team right now, the Fever, they're 4 games above 500. Yeah, they're getting that much closer to clinching. You got, Chicago, Dallas, and Connecticut, the 3 teams you figure were going to be at the bottom. They're completely abysmal. We all know that. You got the cream rising to the top. So now things are starting to take form because we're starting to get down to the end here. You know, we got playoffs coming up here very, very shortly. Um, but then your season right now, I'm sorry to say it, unless the Indiana Fever go out and win the title or the Liberty go back to back, this is going to be the one thing that everyone remembers about this season.
And that's truly sad. It is truly, truly sad. Um, and the thing is, they're getting press from everywhere. Did you see Bob Cousy weighed in on this? And Kuz is absolutely right.
Yeah.
Dude, this is the shit that pisses me to fuck off, Jim. Because it's stupid. It's not funny. And the girls, of course, they laugh at it. Excuse me, I shouldn't say the girls. The ladies in the league, they're laughing at it because unfortunately, what else are you going to do?
The first
You
time
can't
you
turn it into the
snicker,
malice of the fucking palace.
we got to admit, the first time we heard about it, we did snicker. You
We
have to laugh a little bit.
And
But
you can
every time other than then, it's like, number one, it's not funny anymore. Number two, now we got to start thinking about safety. Are we going to start? You and I can attest this. Is this going to be a no bags in the arena type policy, kind of like what we had in high school?
Yes, it's exactly what it's going to be. And what I was trying to say before was, you can snicker at something that also makes you mad. I mean, God knows the political climate in this country. Everything makes you snicker because you're like, what the fuck? Because if you don't laugh, you're just going to want to hurt something or someone
or yourself.
Exactly. So this one, yes. Did we laugh? You and I talked about it. Did we laugh at it at first? Yeah, because one time is funny. 2 times, 3 and 4 are just blatantly disrespectful, and there's no place for it. Mike Tyson was right. Social media has made people forget what it's like to get punched in the face. God. Hi, Luna. So I believe it's halftime, sir.
We will see you guys in 5 minutes. We will come up. We will come back. We will kind of tease a little bit here. We had some history made in baseball. We had some history made on the track. And one of the biggest stars in the NHL may not play really until the calendar flips over after getting a monumental achievement here in the last couple of days. So we'll see you guys in 5 minutes with the blast.
See you in 5. Welcome back.
Back. Breaking news: Eagles Pro Bowl left guard Landon Dickerson was actually carted off during an open practice at Lincoln Financial Field
Oh
tonight,
shit.
suffering an apparent right leg injury where there were over 50,000 fans there for the open practice. And he, according to ESPN's Tim McManus, eventually helped off, unable to put much weight on his right leg, and then rode a cart inside. And it was near the end of the 2-hour open practice.
Jesus. Hey, you know how we talked about the Achilles injuries?
Mm-hmm.
You ready for one off the wall? At Yankees Old Timers Day Saturday, Mariano Rivera blew his Achilles out.
I saw that. I was actually going to bring that up in our blast, but definitely, yeah, it's because I think what he had an injury shagging fly balls years ago as well?
He did in 2012, which was supposed to be his final season. Early in the year, he tore his ACL shagging fly balls in Kansas City. Of course, he comes back in 2013, has the send off, and then they tried to talk him into one more year so him and Jeter could go together. But he was done. He said he was done. Of course, anybody who paid attention as a baseball fan, you got two things the last series in Yankee Stadium that he pitched. You got Metallica actually playing live Enter Sandman for him. Not when he came into a game, but just Enter Sandman. And then, of course, you had really, if you grew up on him, the heartbreaking moment when Andy Pettitte and Derek Jeter came to take him out of his final game, which they had to get special permission from Major League Baseball to do. But yeah, speedy recovery to Mariano. But yeah, that's holy shit, dude. I saw that today. I was like, what the hell? But what do you say we get to the blast so we can put a nice bow on this sucker tonight?
Hey, in case you haven't noticed, and judging by the attendance, you haven't.
So glad you just sit with us every night. Let's start with hockey, Jim. What happened to Matty, and what did he win, by the way?
Matthew Tkachuk was named late last week with his brother Brady from the Ottawa Senators and his father, the legendary Keith Tkachuk, as the cover athletes for the deluxe edition of NHL 26.
Very nice.
But Matthew has been suffering from an adductor issue that plagued him through a good chunk of the playoffs and is kind of carried over and not worked. It's not kind of rehabbed or healed the way that they thought. And surgery is potentially on the table. And if he does end up having to get the surgery, he's out 3 months.
Yeah, we won't see Matty till January. That's rough. As far as the cover thing goes, that is pretty damn cool that Keith Tkachuk and his two sons would be on the cover of NHL 26. On a personal note, I am now in possession of NCAA 26. Of course, the cover athletes for that are the two wonderkind freshmen, now sophomore wide receivers in college football. One of them being Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. The other one's a kid from Alabama, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and I feel absolutely freaking stupid. But whatever.
The weird thing is that all three of the Kachucks are on the deluxe edition, and I don't know who's on the regular edition. Although the one thing I hate is that the game is only available on PlayStation and Xbox. They have not announced that it's going to be on Switch 2 or Steam yet, which is strange.
I think EA is getting away from Steam. And as far as Nintendo has never been big on the sports games they don't create. Because if you remember correctly, Madden was bigger on Sega than it was on Nintendo.
Yeah, but Madden's actually been on Switch in every, instance really for the last number of years. And especially now with the fact that the Switch 2 can basically run like a like a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One with the processing hardware in there. It's like even with some of the free-to-play games, I noticed just how lightning fast some of the load times are just because of the servers and the hardware that are involved with the connection. So because Madden 26 is coming to Switch 2, EA Sports FC is coming, the NBA 2K26 is coming, the new UFC game is coming. It seems like for all of the EA Sports games that are coming out, the only two I haven't received confirmation on just yet is NCAA football and NHL.
I wonder if NCAA football is more about licensing with the NCAA as opposed to EA.
Okay, so yeah, it's actually saying EA Sports will not be available on the Switch. It'll be released on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series. There are no plans to release the game on the original Switch or a potential Switch 2 port, which I
That's
care less about college football. I don't care.
well, yeah, and obviously and when I get enough points again to get the gift cards because I'm cheap, I will buy Madden 26 and I will knock it off. I will be able to take my character from now it's high school all the way through. I mean, they're doing the hat thing now, all the way through a career in Madden.
The only
Uh,
concern that I really have with this is that I can play football on Switch. I can actually, there's even, they redid, I want to say a few, like less than 5 years ago or something like that. They did kind of a spiritual successor to Mutant League Football.
really?
Yeah, with kind of like an NFL offshoot license, so it's like, um, so you got like loosely based NFL teams and players involved with that. It's called Mutant Football League. Um, I've got Madden coming. I've got I've got NBA 26 if I wanted to play basketball. There are no hockey games on Switch with an NHL license. There's a
Dude, that
problem.
sucks.
Not even on the
That
Switch One
sucks.
there was.
Almost makes you want to get one of those USB things that you plug into the TV and look for Blades of Steel.
There's an easier way. There's websites that you can actually go and play it. Play the emulator straight through because remember, we used to be able to download those when we were younger. Ironically enough, last night I was playing uh what was it? Triple Play Baseball 96 Gold Edition, which was honestly the best, you know, uh first gen console baseball game in history, which was the year before World Series baseball, where all the licensing and the teams and everything came out. So you had the players, you had all the stadium likenesses, you just didn't have the actual teams.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
you had like the looks and everything and the names, but you didn't actually have the official like it was just Atlanta, it was Cleveland, it wasn't Atlanta Braves, it wasn't Cleveland Indians back then.
Yeah. Um, there is a guy who actually streams on TikTok playing RBI baseball, the original.
I was playing Techno Super Bowl last night with the original with the Buffalo Bills. Jim Kelly
That's
threw for 382 yards in a game against Tampa Bay. Andre Reed caught 3 touchdowns.
nice. Let's talk about your buddy there in the indie circuit, Mr. Palau, having himself another championship season.
Alex Palou, the Indy 500 winner, goes 4 out of the last 5 years winning the IndyCar championship earlier today. I don't know if I've ever, all the years that Mike, this has got to be Jimmy Johnson-esque for how dominant he's been to be able to win that many titles in that short a period. The only other driver I can think, at least in North America, that's easily the most dominant stretch I've ever seen. You're not the biggest racing fan, but the 2 names I'm going to throw at you have basically dominated Formula One for the last, decade. And that's been Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen won 4 straight Formula One titles. I don't think he's got an outside shot to win this one. I don't think he will because I think it's Lando Norris. But Hamilton won like 7 titles in like 10 years or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and those when you told me what he's done in the last 5 years, which is 4 championships, that is Jimmy Johnson-esque. That is as dominant a run as any motorsport anybody's ever seen. I think if you put him up against some of the other contemporaries he's had, he is head and shoulders above them. Lewis Hamilton, though, still to me is the guy who is right now. He's the benchmark currently for your auto racing drivers as far as how much they win. I mean, he's been awesome.
Here's how dominant Palou has been. There's still 2 races left in the season. Palou started 5th Led only 5 laps when they were in Portland earlier today. Did get kind of the one bonus point for leading a lap. Um, Finished third in the race, and then um, when his primary challenger, I think it was Scott Dixon, went out early in the race with car failure. All Palou basically had to do was finish in the top 15, and he finished third with 2 races to
Wow.
go.
Yeah, when you wrap it up with a couple races to go like that, that's pretty cool. So congratulations to him on another great season. You said he won the 500 too, right, this year, right?
Yeah, it was his closest challenger was Scott Dixon won the race today. It was Pato O'Ward who was trailing him in the points.
Gotcha. Let's go to MLB news. God, this week has been dog shit.
Depends on where you look because we've had quite a bit of history. We had almost near history that we'll talk about here in a second. But yeah, you guys, and I say this with all due respect, are you guys going to win a game the rest of this month?
Yeah, they play Atlanta starting Tuesday night. So I'm hoping getting home will turn things around for the Mets right now. Listen, they're playing against the hottest team in baseball, not named the Cleveland Guardians, the last 3 games. And they were ahead in all those games, and they have some glaring holes that they still need to figure out. But we come to the second of the Big Rican stats of the week. And that number, James, is 252.
Yeah, I know this one.
That is the home run record all time for the 65-year-old franchise, the New York Mets. 64, excuse me. On Saturday, as interim play-by-play guy Steve Gelbs, Gary Cohen was off this weekend, said Darryl Strawberry now has some company as Pete Alonso hit home run number 252 on Saturday. I am hoping Gary is back on Tuesday night, and I hope Pete hits one Tuesday night because that when you break a record for your franchise like that, and this is any team, any sport, you should do that at home. Your home broadcasters, and thank God Howie does home games. You should have a call from your home broadcasters of a record-breaking moment because it's just special. It really is. Unfortunately, we only have Wayne Randazzo's call of his 53rd home run in 2019 because it was his inning when he was working with Howie, and that was a national game against the Braves. SNY didn't even do the game. So hopefully, hats off to Pete. He did it in almost 200 less games than Darryl did it. And Darryl's held the record since the final day of 1990. So 35 years almost that Darryl Strawberry has been number one in home runs for the New York Mets. So congratulations to Pete. But let's talk about a home run that pissed you off.
We'll get to that here in a moment. But we also, just in the last few days, just kind of whipping through these. Justin Verlander gets his 3,500th strikeout over the weekend.
That was awesome. And you hear what he said? He goes, that's kind of cool.
Cal Raleigh hits his major league best 45th home run, and I want to say he's within 6 of the catcher record.
If he's at 45, he's within 4 or 5.
Okay.
Salvi didn't know catchers hit 50.
Okay.
I think Salvi's got 47 or 48, so he's 2 or 3 away.
The Seattle Mariners are the hottest team in the American League. They are now a half game back of the Houston Astros, having won 7 in a row, 9-1 in their last 10, and retired Ichiro's number over the weekend.
Did you see any of his speech?
No, I did not.
Ichiro Suzuki, first of all, he spoke in full English like he did at his induction into the Hall of Fame. By the way, Tom Hamilton, your speech in Cooperstown and how much you love that city, it brought me to tears because I love that city that much, even though I don't live there anymore. Cleveland is in my blood. And for Hammy to go in this year, it was absolutely wonderful. I told you when it happened, if it was anybody but Gary Cohen to win the Ford Frick Award this year, I wanted it to be Hammy. So Ichiro says, I'm going to open by quoting my favorite philosopher, George Kenneth Griffey Jr. Jr. is there and is in absolute hysterics. And Ichiro opened it up and said, I am damn proud to be a
I
Scout
did hear
Mariner.
some of this.
That was so funny, dude. My other favorite part is you saw how prim and proper his wife was on the field during the ceremony. They switched to them later in the game. They're both munching on a hot dog watching the ball game. I mean, come on.
Other
Jim,
ML
let me ask one quick question about that one. If we don't have Ichiro, do we have Ohtani?
No,
Okay.
because Ichiro was kind of the, if you don't have Ichiro, you don't have Matsui. You don't end up getting you don't have Darvish. You don't have, you get these guys, but they're not nearly the impact players that they are now.
You also don't have the feeding frenzy that was the bidding process for them.
Right.
But yes, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you like that.
No, it's all right. Some of the races are going on around baseball. We've got some things tightening up, and we've actually got some distance here. The Dodgers are only 2 up on the Padres, as the Padres 7-3 in their last 10. The Dodgers just 5-5. We touched on it earlier. The Mets, having lost 7 in a row, are the coldest team in baseball, 1-9 in their last 10. They have now slipped 5.5 back of the Phillies. We talked about the Mariners having won 7 straight. The Toronto Blue Jays, 6-4 in their last 10, have opened up a 4-game lead on the Red Sox, and the Yankees are now 6.5 back, having lost 7 of their last 10. We're starting to see the cracks there. Michael, up until today, the second hottest team in baseball, and I know I'm going to take the L for this, were the Cleveland Guardians, having won. They were 9-1 in their last 10, gave up a 3 spot in the top of the first and never recovered today to the Chicago White Sox. They've now fallen 6 back, but they've closed that thing from 15 down to as little as 5 earlier today in the span of about a month, because the Detroit Tigers just absolutely friggin' suck right now. How the Tigers are 5-5 in their last 10 is beyond me.
What was the lead when you told me they were dead in the water?
I think it was 12.
Okay. So it's down to 6. They've cut the lead in half. How many games they got left with the Tigers this year?
I still think that there's another series. I think there's one more series. But also, if you look at the wild card, the Mariners right now a half game out in the division, 3.5 up for the top wild card spot. The Yankees are clinging to that last wild card spot right now because the Guardians have actually gone from 4 out to just a half game out. So if the Guardians would have rallied and won today, the Guardians would be sitting in that third wild card spot. But if you're the Guardians right now, with the fact that you've got one of the easier schedules in baseball over the last 6 weeks of the regular season, you got to think we've got a shot to run Detroit down.
Yeah.
Michael,
told you this.
What's that?
Say it again. I told you this before, and I will say it again. Do not give up on a franchise like this. By the way, Bazana got promoted.
He's going to Columbus now?
Yep.
Good. Because they're also expecting. See, the thing is that now with the Guardians, they were hoping to bring Chase DeLauder back, but yet CJ Kafis is absolutely murdering the ball. He had a rough, first 2 games, and he has absolutely been crushing it as platooning between right field and first base. And the Guardians right now are loaded at first base with everybody that they have platooning in and out. So Josh Naylor, fare thee well. That's not happening, him coming back. We saw history over the weekend as Jen Polal became the first female to umpire a major league game and received critical acclaim for today's game, calling balls and strikes.
She did. She was one of the better rated umpires the entire season. Never mind this weekend.
Although I will say the first one that they actually showed of the highlight, where she called one that looked to be about 6 inches inside. If you look at it, that angle might have been off because I think that might have caught some of the corner, and it actually and the ABS may have picked it up at the wrong spot.
It did. It definitely caught. It was definitely the angle of the camera. But she's come a long way from being a Big Ten softball umpire. I'm very impressed. I don't know if you saw this from Saturday when she got her first game, but there were signs, women and little girls in the stands
Mhm.
with signs. My favorite was, "Hey Jen, welcome to the show."
Yeah, that was a great one. There were already people sitting behind home plate with the umpire mask just cheering her on, which is basically
That's
means
awesome.
you've made it. Um,
Agreed.
Before we get to the elephant in the room between the two of us right now, Michael, can you name the best team in baseball right now?
That's the Milwaukee Brewers.
The Brewers have won 9 in a row, and they are not only the best team in baseball, they are the best team in baseball right now by a country mile. The Brewers are 73 and 44, 9 in a row. They have opened up a 5.5 game lead on the Cubs, and that now puts them 4 games clear of the Blue Jays for the best record in all of baseball.
And I'll tell you this, they are scrappy as shit too. The Mets had a lead in all 3 games. And that was the whole thing with the holes that they have to address. When the New York media starts blaming the players instead of the manager, it's time for a meeting of some kind. But I will say this, and it's not just Wilson Contreras or William Contreras and any other big name they have in the lineup. Everybody's doing this. Every top to bottom, 1 through 9, they are a scrappy, well disciplined lineup that raises your pitch counts and gets into your bullpen as early as possible. So listen, my hat's off to Milwaukee. They played a great series this weekend. The Mets were up 5-0 at one point in this game, or 5-1 at one point in this game, and lost 7-6. What are you gonna do? It's baseball's a daily grind. They got an off day tomorrow. Got Atlanta starting Tuesday. I think Milwaukee's gonna run and hide in the Central. I think this thing's over. Even at 5.5, it's over.
Yeah, because I think the Cubs are going to actually make it interesting, but I think Seattle's just got the horse. Not Seattle. Well, Seattle's got the horses to kind of run away. When they eventually get ahead of Houston, but I think Milwaukee's got the horses to not only just distance themselves from the Cubs, but also put themselves ahead of the Phillies for home field throughout.
They have it now. The Phillies haven't won 70 games yet, I don't think.
The Brewers are the only team to have won 70, more than 70, and they're at 73.
Yes. So if it ended right now, I'm still watching postseason baseball. The Mets still have one of the wild card spots locked up. But it would be Milwaukee with the number 1 seed. The Dodgers would be the 2, I believe, and the Phillies would be the 3. 4, 5, and 6 are Cubs, Mets, and San Diego.
Right teams, wrong order. 4 would be Cubs, 5 Padres, 6 Mets, and right now you guys are
6.
only a game and a half up on the Reds, who are surging as of late.
Yep. Listen, what are you gonna do? They've got to play better. End of story. So, I think they will, but I'm also a lunatic till final out of the final game. So,
And now we have to talk about it. Mike, that's all you got on Thursday was one goddamn hit?
yes. One guy, Williams, was amazing. He was so good. He pounded the zone. He got a lot of ground balls too, which is what I was shocked at, especially for a guy who throws that hard. Usually it's high strikeouts, fly balls. He got a good number of ground balls. But dude, you throw a hitter, never mind the money. You throw a hitter as good as Soto, that pitch, it's either a base hit or it's going to fuck out. You throw that pitch to friggin' Hosey, same thing.
So the Guardians have already taken 2 or 3 in the Mets. They are looking to sweep New York in New York for the first time in over 30 years. they had never won at Citi Field since the park opened with interleague. Where
Wait, hold on. I thought they won a game in 2019.
I
I
don't
know the Mets had that big comeback in one of them. JD Davis hit a game-winning double off of Brad Hand, but
you might be right on that, but they were looking to that's what it was. They were looking to sweep a series in New York for the first time in 30 years.
Okay. It's Yankees or Mets.
Right.
Wow.
And Gavin Williams goes out and throws an absolute gem. Guardians are up 4-0. They run him out there for the ninth, already up over 100 pitches. I want to say he was like 103, 104, somewhere in there. And one of his first pitches to Juan Soto, the $760 million, dipshit, it gets parked into the left field bleachers. And I am now the president of the Fuck Juan Soto fan club. Juan Soto can lick a fart out of my 3 burrito in ass.
You know what the scary part is? Something you said to me the other day about it. You would have been more comfortable if Lindor would have hit it. That's what threw me. Listen, you're allowed to be pissed. I get it. I 100% get it. I also believe they should have brought the closer in to pitch the ninth inning.
Michael, JC Blue Note numbers of the night.
Okay.
And that would be 38. No.
It's 44.
I need to double check this for a second.
If it's one I think you're talking about, it's 44.
Yes, 44.
Years since the last no-hitter thrown by a Cleveland pitcher, it was a perfect game by Len Barker in 1981.
Which
is also had a hit in that game.
Which is also the longest streak of any of the 30 Major League Baseball teams. The Cleveland Guardians / Indians franchise also has the longest title drought in all of baseball. At 76 years.
Who's second on that list?
You're gonna make me. Wouldn't that be the Pittsburgh Pirates?
No.
Oh yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting about Pops.
No, it would be the Pirates because that's 46.
No, the Pirates won in the 70s with Stargell.
The We Are Family Pirates won in 1979, the year I was born. I thought it was the Mets. It's been. I'm gonna shave you. That's an OTR. But it is the Pirates because you figure let's just run it through it quick. No, the Padres have never won.
Yeah, I actually just pulled up the story dated October 31st last year. So we know that nothing on this has changed. The Guardians, 76 years, last title in 1948. The Brewers have never won in 56 years. The Padres have never won in 56. The Mariners are at, those are both now 57. The Mariners are at 49, no titles. The Pirates' last title makes 46, last in 79. The Orioles, 42 years, last in 83. The Tigers' last title was in 84, so that's 41 years. The Mets are at 39. The Athletics are at 36. The Reds are at 35. Can you believe the Colorado Rockies have been around 32 years already?
Yes, I can. They opened their franchise against the Mets. The funny thing is, out of all the teams you just talked about, Seattle's never been to the World Series. San Diego has been there twice.
Yeah. The Rockies have been there once.
84, 98. The Rockies have been there once. The Mets have been there 3 times. 3? No, twice. Since
Kansas City and New York.
Kansas City.
And the Subway
year, and then the Subway Series in 2000. Who else? Colorado's only been once in 32 years. Tampa's
which was 04 with the curse.
No, Colorado was 07. 04 was St. Louis.
That's right. I got the two Red Sox title years mixed up.
Yep. Tampa's been there twice.
Even though one was in the bubble, of course, but yeah.
Yeah. Who else? Seattle never. San Diego twice. Cincinnati. I mean, that was that 1990 team that swept the A's. That very famously Marge Schott, who couldn't cash in on game 6 tickets sales, would not pay for champagne for the team after the game. Thank God she's gone.
Oh, quick thing. Well, I actually, I'm glad that you brought up season tickets as we kind of pivot out of the blast here, and get ready for band practice. We saw history in the NFL in one other aspect. I don't know if you heard about this. The Green Bay Packers have finally started canceling the season tickets of fans that have started selling their entire year's worth and don't attend games. So they're now taking people off of that list and starting to pivot to the next ones on the list.
Good for them. I mean, because that waiting list is nearly as long as the Bananas.
It's over. I want to say it's over 150,000 for Packers season tickets.
Oh, by the way, the Bananas just were in Colorado. Unreal. Good for them.
Walk off on a trick play.
Nice.
In sudden
but yeah,
death.
no shit.
Yeah, it was how they go one-on-one in sudden death. It was behind the back catch.
That's a hell of a walk-off, James.
On a pop-up to short. He's drifting back, he's in short right, and he literally basket styles, Willie Mays style, behind the back and walk off.
Was it Jackson?
I don't remember who it was. I only saw I saw it on Threads. It might have even been a couple of days ago as well.
Nice. Solid. Well, James, I believe there is only one thing left to do, sir.
You're going to make me pull that soundbite for next week now.
Which one? Oh, yes.
Jake Taylor.
Please do.
Would you shut up and just push the button already?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
It's the YZ Translator on the Wise Guys Sports Show.
I'm forever unclean.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the YZ Translator. It is the best segment of the night because it is the last segment of the night. It is the time when James and I give each other two names in or out of the sports world, and the first thing that pops into our heads is what we give to you out in the internet world. Again, we have gone from going over our greatest hits to what has now been lovingly called the YZ Chronicle. That moment when James reveals the chyron with the caption for this week's translator that I know nothing about, and I can see his face already, and I'm going to lose my shit. So without further ado, James, if you would please. What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh my God.
I totally ripped it off from one of my favorite YouTube like music reaction streamers, and if you hang on for like 30 seconds after we finish up tonight, I will show you the clip of it. And the fact is, it wasn't even a bag of nickels, it was a hot bag of nickels.
That's awesome. Dude. Your first names in tonight's YZ Translator are not of the sports world. They are two names that are near and dear to our hearts because of our youth and their current outrage at the world. James, your first two names in tonight's Wisey Translator are Matt Parker and Trey Stone. Or Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Sorry.
I mean, when they're not winning Denslow Cups, and sucking fat out of Marlon Brando's ass, they're doing more against orange buck nuggets than half of our government anymore, and they don't give a fuck. And I cannot wait for them to actually take aim at everybody over the course of the next few weeks.
Did you see what they did?
Oh, absolutely.
JD?
Who did not? Who did not see that? The fact that I also changed the profile picture to it.
When they turned him into tattoo, I was done.
And it's only getting worse because they've already announced who they're going to take aim at next week.
It's Christy Nome, isn't it?
No, Nome was last week.
Oh, yes. Who's getting it now? Tell me it's Cash.
Oh, they've already said that and I forgot.
That's hilarious. Dude, I heard the plane and I was done.
It's going to be cue the soundboard. He gets it next week.
Chappelle?
Couch fucker.
Oh, good. More.
Michael, your first
Yeah,
name in the
Franco.
YZ Translator this evening. We're going to go back to the sports world here, and we know that the Brewers are the best team in all of baseball. The team that is the best in the American League is finally starting to get the production out of somebody that we thought really should have peaked a few years ago and is probably the biggest catalyst here of a second generation talent. And no, it's not the guy putting all the balls in the seats, out in the stands. Your first name tonight is Bo Bichette.
If Jack Wilson's kid and Bobby Witt's kid weren't as good as they are, Bo Bichette would be the best shortstop in the American League. He is so good. I've been a fan of Bo Bichette since he came up. He has been so good. He's such a better player than his father.
And his dad was damn good too. The problem is that his dad always kind of got left behind, on those Coors Canaveral teams just because of everybody else that was loaded up around him.
Oh, yeah. When you're in a lineup with Vinny Castilla, Andres Galarraga, Todd Helton, who else? Larry Walker. Dante Bichette still hit one of the longest home runs I've ever seen in my life. Up there. Insanity. But Bo has been listen, if Vladdy is the face of the Toronto Blue Jays, Bo is 1A. He's been so good.
Would the comparison be a little bit off by saying if we were to equate it to your team and my team that Vlad is Jose Ramirez or Juan Soto for the power numbers, and Bo Bichette is very much Stephen Kwan and Lindor?
Sounds about right.
Because they're the stars, they're certainly not the highest paid, but they're certainly the most consistent.
Yes. And I think that is a perfect comparison. I will say this though. The bookends, the Kwan and the Lindor, are probably better defensively than Bo. Not by much, but better defensively. While Jose is the best defender out of the first three. Yeah, that's where I land that.
I mean, because if you look at it, the Blue Jays are 19 games over 500, but yet their defense isn't as bad as we think it is. But
No.
the problem is right now is that you got 4 teams in the American League East with run differentials of plus 40 or better, and the Blue Jays are third in that category right now, and they're about to get eclipsed by the Rays. The Rays are at plus 40. The Blue Jays are leading that division over the murderer's row that is the Red Sox and the Yankees, and they've got only a plus 44 run differential, which is the lowest of any of the 6 division leaders by over 30 runs.
Yeah.
I take that back. The Astros are at plus 54, so they're still 10 worse to the wear than the Astros right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Astros are still a really good team. I
But
still think the Rays
how
back there.
gratifying is it that we know that that window in Houston is closing quickly?
It's very good. I am sick of them as well. Is Altuve the shortest guy to ever hit 250 homers?
I want to say he's up there.
Insanity. So, James, your second name this evening is back in the sports world. And your second name in tonight's YZ Translator is Cleveland Browns insider Tony Grossi. Now, I would like you to react about him getting called out on camera by a player.
As much as I've respected a lot of his reporting and stories over the years growing up, reading the Cleveland Plain Dealer, in the age of digital media and then crossover between print and radio, and the fact that Mary Kay Cabot has also gone into the Football Hall of Fame for her writing capabilities and everything. Grossi and Mary Kay Cabot have probably done just as much damage to the Cleveland Browns franchise with their reporting as Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry have in bad contracts and assembling the roster with the way that they run people out of town, basically slam guys who have absolutely no business being slammed, and then prop up, people that shouldn't even be there in the first place. I do like a lot of Grossi's analytics and also his analysis when he's doing NFL roundtables uh, with Tony Rizzo and Aaron Goldhammer on Friday mornings during football season. With some of the access that he has, I think Mary Kay Cabot is an absolute farce of a reporter. I think she's a shill. I think she's a hack. At least Grossi will actually bring some numbers to back things up. But good on Shedeur for calling him out. Now, the problem is that Shedeur calling him out is not the issue. Shedeur's now got to go out there the next 2 preseason games and then also at some point this season and not give Grossi more ammunition to keep firing bullets.
I think you and I both know with Grossi's track record the last 5 to 10 years, he's going to find bullets to fire no matter what. The guy was still saying that Baker was a piece of trash when he was winning playoff games that no one else had done since 1999. I mean, he's
I
not going to
agree, but it's the Billy Bean argument, from Moneyball. Take 1 to the head and die instantly, or take 6 to the chest and bleed out. That's on Shedeur right now as to what's going to happen. Is he going to actually go out there and shit the bed to where Grossi's the one with the gun against his forehead, or is he going to go out there and play well? And Grossi's just going to keep firing shot after shot after shot into his torso in non-lethal areas, hoping that Shedeur eventually does bleed out or at least get the medical attention to where he no longer does, and Grossi ends up looking stupid. We all are hoping right now it's the latter with what we saw on the field on Friday night and the way that he's conducted himself it's speeding tickets. It wasn't like some of the character issues with, and where's the reporting been with the fact that the Browns have an issue each of the last 3 seasons where they've got sexual assault allegations with a high profile player coming into training camp, and then you have a highly talented guy who certainly was entitled, slips in the draft, and then goes out and actually has a great first preseason game. And where's the ammunition going to be?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an issue. I think Grossi's going to try and find some things because he doesn't like talking smack and then having the guy basically shut him up. It's not something Grossi likes having done.
I'm kind of
Now,
glad I'm on vacation because at least this way I get to listen to Rizzo and Goldhammer when Grossi comes on Monday mornings, and the only and that's wish in one hand, shit in the other, and see which fills first, because Grossi's going to be on 10 a.m. tomorrow morning on Rizzo, 8:20 tomorrow morning. Cabot's going to be on Carmen and Lima. So I actually have 2 shows that I love for the guys that are on the air, that are paid to be on the air, and bringing in the 2 biggest hacks in Cleveland media.
Agreed. What do you got for me to round it up there, Jimmy?
Michael, your final name in the Wisey translator tonight, I'm actually going to stay with the letter B, and I'm going to actually kind of, go a little bit closer to home here for you, for somebody that is your hometown WNBA team, and she's finally going to be making her return here in the next couple of weeks after a relatively significant injury, and hopefully help right the ship of the defending champions. And I'm talking about one Miss Brianna Stewart.
There's no better tandem in the league than her and Sabrina. If Brianna comes back and she gets it going and Sabrina stays hot like she has, it's a wrap. I think they go back to back. Yes, Minnesota's on a mission. However, you don't have 2 players to match up there. They are just a different animal as a tandem. And I love every second of it.
They need to get her back, and they need to get her back fast. Not even so much for the stretch drive, but they're also they're also very, very close to running the risk because they are mathematically tied with the Atlanta Dream right now. They want that home court through the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Very true. Very true. So she's got to come back and she's got to be productive right away. But like I said, when they get going, there is no better tandem in the WNBA right now.
Especially after Minnesota goes out and makes that big trade earlier this week. DeJounte Carrington, comes over, and then Carrington, 15 points today. Kayla McBride had 18 in that beat down to the Liberty this afternoon.
Yeah, they played them well, but again, when you have both ladies on the court at the same time, they just won a championship. There's a reason they won a title. And Sabrina being basically Sabrina Ionescu is Robin in that tandem. That's a pretty good Robin to have.
They're hoping that they certainly know that Brianna will be back by the end of the month, but they're also trying to see if there's a possibility she could be ready later on this week, because the Lynx's next game is hosting the Liberty in a possible finals matchup on Saturday at 2 p.m. on CBS.
That would be interesting if they can get her back for that game and she's again productive. That's a different animal. You might see the exact opposite of the result from today.
Even though this was today's beatdown was in New York. This one's going to be in Target Center. So I don't know.
But again, if you return the favor of what they just did to you, it's the same thing.
I can understand that. I don't. This right now is, I think right now Minnesota is playing the part of Oklahoma City, is that until they actually have some adversity, possibly in the playoffs, it's theirs to lose. I think right now, with as well as they're playing, even though New York are the defending champions, and that great series that we had last year, where we actually went off the air one night right after they had won the title.
Yep.
I think this is something where it's Minnesota's to lose, regardless of how well and that New York ends up playing, or even if it's Atlanta, just because of how outclassed Minnesota is with everybody right now.
Yeah, no, they are definitely the team that is playing the best right now. I just don't think when you have a fully healthy Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu on the court, there are very few tandems who can match up to them when healthy. So let's see what the next week or two comes. And once you get to the playoffs and they're both healthy, it's just a different animal. But let's see what the next week brings. If she's there, great. If she's not, then we'll hopefully see them two match up again in a great final series like they did last year.
I'm telling you, the possibility of getting Brianna back for this game and watching her go toe to toe against Nafisa Collier, that's going to be a really, really good appetizer as we ramp up for the playoffs in the next few weeks.
Absolutely, it will be. So, James, next week we will bring to you is this our fourth or fifth year doing this?
I want to say it's fourth.
Our fourth
on
annual
this show.
Fourth on this show, and then that's right, you're with me on Big Rican for the 1 year. So it's the fourth annual Wise Guys College Football Preview. I know last year we split it in half. We did first half with college football, second half was the NFL, but this year we're gonna do a little different, especially with a not on field thing happening in week 1, and there is a week 0 this year again. As the Wise Guys will also not only preview the college football season, we will also give our own goodbye to Coach Lee Corso, whose final broadcast on ESPN will be Saturday, August the 30th, live in Columbus and the first ever preseason 1 versus 2 matchup in college football history. At least since the polls came out. Obviously, didn't know who the hell it was before that. As number 1, Texas will invade Columbus and play number 2, defending national champion Ohio State. It's a big noon game too, which is horseshit. But Texas wouldn't change the game. So, hopefully, we will not be alone.
Over the course of the next 2 weeks, hopefully, we're hopeful that we actually have, and we'll just throw it out there. We're hopeful to be able to get John and Alex. If we don't get the 4 horsemen for one, if not both weeks, we're hoping we can grab at least one of them over the course of the next couple of weeks. Although it'll be a little bit tough with John, with now his weekend duties going to be starting up, but we'll see with that. But yeah, we're because we're loaded here, because right after that we've already actually got the programming notes set up. So coming August 31st, even though we will have a game, earlier that week for the official start, we will be looking ahead to the 2025 NFL season. We'll make some preseason predictions here. We'll actually see who were casualties during the final cutdowns of rosters. We'll see, who's formulated there. Do we have any injuries coming out? What are the storylines going into the first week of the season? And then we'll take a look at everything with that. So next week is going to be Mike's forte, because quite honestly, outside of really previewing the top 25, you guys know me, I could care less about college football for now with everything the way that it's structured. The NFL is a lot more in my wheelhouse here. And it's not even so much with Mike, as he doesn't watch a whole lot of NFL in recent years, but hopefully now with the scenario changing in Cleveland, that's going to be changing here a little bit. But we've got a very, very exciting next 2 weeks, and then right around the corner from that, in sometime late September, we're going to start looking into our NBA and NHL previews. So we're locked and loaded here as we close out the summer and go into the very early portion of the fall.
Yeah, because then when we get to right before NBA and NHL preview, we have Major League Baseball playoffs. And, you know, the best month of the year, in my opinion, in October.
And we'll
So
also have college football, playoff rankings by then. So yeah, everything's going to be setting up very, very nicely. We've got Ryder Cup coverage coming up next month. We've got the close of the NASCAR season here by the end of the month that we'll talk about a little bit. We've got the FedEx Cup in golf wrapping up here in the next couple of weeks as well. So very, very locked and loaded time.
and don't forget the U.S. Open.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of people that think in the summer it's the lull period because realistically you've only got one of the major team sports ongoing right now. But then we're also going to have the WNBA playoffs coming up. But now things start ramping up. So we close out one, and then we got the other three either in full swing or really getting close to actually opening camps and starting up.
Exactly. So the shenanigans will remain in there, but unfortunately, there's so much content. There'll have to be content-related shenanigans, other than my cat trying to kill me. But we will see you guys next week, same bat time, same bat channel, for our college football preview, and we're going to bring it again. See you next week, everybody.
We will see you guys next week. Everyone have a great night.